Hello everybody, my name is Louis de Gouveia. I'm looking after the Data Virtualization competency at iOCO. Today I have Paul here to discuss with us Denodo's influence on the AI and how it can help us in that AI initiative. Paul, do you want to do a quick intro?
Okay, first of all, thanks Louis for having me here. My name's Paul Moxon. I'm the Senior Vice President of Data Architectures at Denodo and also the Chief Evangelist. And in that role, I talk to a lot of our customers, find out what they're doing with data virtualization with Denodo, and also AI comes into that quite a lot.
All right, okay. And from an AI perspective, we keep hearing statistics of how AI initiatives are failing. You know, according to Gartner, it's as high as 60%. So can you give us a little bit more info around that or unpack that a bit more?
Yeah. There are multiple reasons for this. First of all, people are still experimenting with AI, especially Gen AI. It's the latest cool thing, so people are learning how to use it. So there's a lot of initiatives, a lot of projects which are going to be not work out quite right because people are still trying to find out what's happening. So that's one reason for a higher failure rate. Another one is it's new. People are still learning the technology, learning all the pitfalls. And that's sometimes where, bringing in somebody experienced like iOCO to help out with this, you've done it before, how to implement AI, etc. That helps them. And then also there's some people think that Gen AI is easy as using ChatGPT, and it's not. You need a solid data foundation underlying this, otherwise it never works. Without data, there's no AI.
Yes. Yeah, so we kind of always say from our side, everybody's ready for AI except your data.
Yes.
so when we talk about this data foundation problem, can you give us a little bit more info about it, but more around the contextual data for AI, or more specifically, the generative AI part of it?
Yeah, okay. So, like I said, everybody thinks AI is easy. Everybody thinks, I can go to ChatGPT and I can ask it any question. And that's great for general knowledge. I always say it's great if you want to cheat in a pub quiz or something like that. But you can't go to ChatGPT and say, how many auto policies did we issue last month or something like that? It doesn't know. It doesn't have the context of your question.
Okay.
That context is in the internal systems, the internal data, the applications, the databases, etc., of your organization. And you have to be able to feed that context data to the large language model for it to understand, what you're asking, what's the context of that question, and what's the data I need to actually answer that question. GPT doesn't have that data naturally. It's not trained on it.
All right.
You don't want to train GPT on all of your internal data. That's private to you. So you have to have a way of allowing that data to get to the large language model. And that's that data foundation. How do I make my data AI ready so that I can have a chatbot that will allow my internal users or even my customers, my partners, to ask questions of that data? That's what we mean by data foundation.
All right, okay. So this is obviously going to be a problem for many organizations. What is your recommendations for them to address this specific problem?
Okay, there are many ways of addressing it. And if you go and Google AI data, RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, you'll find lots of articles about it. But the difficulty is going from the white papers and the blog posts to reality. So RAG is Retrieval Augmented Generation. It's a technique, it's a very well understood, very good technique for taking the user's question, saying, okay, what relevant data do I have that can help the large language model, GPT, Llama, etc., answer this question, and then attaching that to the question and saying to GPT, for example, here's the question, here is the information you need to answer the question, the relevant information which can help you answer the question, now answer it for me. So that's RAG. It's augmenting that question with appropriate data. And like I say, it's a well understood pattern and it works very well until you hit reality. And reality is my data is not conveniently available to go and find out, what's the most relevant data for this question. It's in multiple systems, it's in multiple applications. And how do I deliver all of that data so that it can be easily retrieved and passed to the large language model? And that's the challenge that most people have, because their data is not in that nice packaged form, that AI-ready form that can be used in that way. And that's where we talk about using what we call a logical data architecture, underpinned by data virtualization, which you've mentioned already.
Yeah, no, data virtualization is obviously very handy to get data. But now, if we take this a step further, agentic AI is going to be a large topic or a big thing coming up more and more and more. Based on what we've discussed, how does this play into that or factor into there?
Okay, so agentic AI is the idea that we will have lots of these autonomous or semi-autonomous agents. I always think of the Matrix when I say that, running around doing a very specialized job. The classic scenario people talk about is you want to go and book a holiday, a vacation, and you will have an agent to go and book your holiday, but there'll be a special agent which will go and book your airfare, your flights. Another one which will go and find the hotels and book the hotels for you. Another one which will book you taxis to get from the airport to the hotel and things like that. But each one is very, very specialized. And people have latched onto that and they're saying, this is great. I can have lots of these agents, and then I can have the AI model itself coordinating these agents. So that's the basic idea of agentic AI. Now, when you translate that into a typical organization, especially a large enterprise, a big bank or something like that, well, I've got thousands of systems. I've got thousands of applications. Do I have to write agents for every single one of them? And now I've got this coordination and maintenance problem that I've got thousands and thousands of agents. I've got to keep them up to date with the applications.
Keep them in sync, keep them going all together.
It gets really difficult. If we have this logical data platform, the Denodo platform basically, then I've got one agent which can connect to hundreds of different systems. And now I have only one AI agent to get to my data instead of thousands of them. And we actually had one of our customers in the United States, they'd started going down this agentic AI path, and they had built something like 30 or 40 agents. And then they said, hey, Denodo is already connected to all these systems.
Okay, yeah.
Why don't we just have one agent for Denodo, and we have to say, oh, we've got one. And they said, oh, wow, guys, you could have saved us about 1.5 years amount of work if we'd have known this already. So, it's this idea that if you have this AI-ready logical data platform, you've got one place to go and get your data, one agent, instead of hundreds and thousands of agents to go and build and manage, maintain, coordinate, etc.
All right. So just to summarize, what we've been discussing then. So it appears that data virtualization from Denodo can make it fairly easy just to provide that data to all our AI initiatives, quick, simple, and go from that perspective. But any final thoughts, before we wrap this up on, anything that we should consider for data virtualization and AI?
I actually think you summarized it quite nicely there. If you have data virtualization as your data platform, it actually allows you to build your AI applications, your AI agents quickly, because the data is there, it's ready for you, it's ready to be used. And as you move to agentic AI, it simplifies all of the agentic infrastructure that you need. You only need one agent to get to all of these hundreds of systems instead of thousands of agents. So it accelerates it, it makes it quicker to get value from your AI, and it actually makes because the data is there and ready coming from your trusted systems, it actually makes it more accurate. So it's a great way of getting more value from AI quicker.
All right, okay. So that concludes our interview with Paul, where you've heard how we can use data virtualization specifically to empower our AI initiatives.